headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Well, Jeremy, incendiary is the word, and Ian Blackford, you're hot on your heels from Parliament. We can't actually interview you 3 or 4 yards there because this is parliamentary property behind us. We're on the street and we're interviewing Ian Blackford because you're banned now from parliamentary property.
I am, and I have to respect that I'm not allowed on the premises for a day, and I accept the judgment of the Speaker. I regret the position that he was in, and it is extraordinary that we know that this Prime Minister has misled the House of Commons. We know he's lied. I've been speaking truth to power, but that's not acceptable. I've got a responsibility to stand up for not just all my constituents as leader of the SNP, and hopefully for a voice for other people as well, all those that have sacrificed so much over the last 2 years. And we see a Prime Minister that won't accept responsibility. I followed the previous Prime Minister, Theresa May, who, whatever her faults were, was a woman of immense dignity and understood the office that she had as a former Prime Minister. But we have in this situation a Prime Minister that treats it as a personal plaything, that doesn't see that there should be any consequences for his actions. The way that he has behaved, that whole culture of partying in Downing Street that we now know about from what was in the Sugri report as much as it is today, of events taking place over 12 separate occasions, 8 which have now been referred to the police. Just think on that. A Prime Minister, a government that have been referred to the police over law breaking, and a Prime Minister that thinks that, well, actually it doesn't really matter, and a Prime Minister that came to the House of Commons on the 8th of December last year that denied the parties took place. When will the Prime Minister acknowledge the truth?
He has apologised, though. He said sorry to Parliament today. He accepts Sue Gray's report. He says, what more should happen now? Because almost every week at Prime Minister's Questions, it seems you call for him to resign. He clearly hasn't listened to that.
I've done that over the course of the last few weeks because the charge sheet against the Prime Minister is a mile long, and the simple fact of the matter is that misleading the House is a resignation matter. He misled the House by what he said on the 8th of December, saying that parties hadn't taken place, that he wasn't at parties. We now know that that wasn't true. Somewhere along the line, the Prime Minister's got to accept responsibility, but it's not just about what's happened over this, about his behaviour in office over the last 2.5 years, the prorogation of Parliament, the sleazy way that he's seduced people into
But his MPs don't care about that, or don't appear to care about that. Surely your message should be to them rather than him.
I have said that over the course of the last few weeks. The Tory MPs have got to look at themselves, and they've got to look at a Prime Minister that's demeaned office. How much longer are they prepared to accept someone that's behaved the way that the Prime Minister has? His time should be up. It should be gone. They have to accept their responsibilities in doing that.
We know, Mr Blackford, what you think should happen now, but what do you think will happen now? You're a seasoned political observer as well as a practising politician and indeed leader of the SNP in Westminster. What do you think will happen now? Is this a knockout blow for the Prime Minister?
I don't believe that this Prime Minister will fight the next election, but of course my interest is what happens in my own country of Scotland. And we had an election to the Scottish Parliament last year with a mandate for a referendum on independence. People in Scotland will be watching this and they'll be looking at the choices that they have. We have a way out of the sleaze and corruption in Westminster.
In terms of what you did today, final question, Mr Blackford, in terms of what you did today, look, if you accuse someone of lying in Parliament, which I know to many listeners and viewers will seem bizarre that you can't do that, but you know as someone who's been in Parliament for some time that's going to get you chucked out. Some people will say this is a publicity stunt from you.
No, it certainly was not a publicity stunt. This was not premeditated in any way at all. I was asked to retract the comments that I had made in saying that the Prime Minister had misled Parliament. If I had withdrawn that, I myself would have been a liar, because we know fine well that that's what the Prime Minister was done. If I had to stand my ground, that was the right thing to do.
OK, Ian Blackford, leader of the SNP in Westminster, thank you very much indeed for your time. He's suspended now from Parliament for at least 24 hours, but you'll be back before too long and we'll no doubt see you at Prime Minister's Questions as well.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much indeed, Mr Blackford there.
Good talk. Hot talk.
Bold talk. Talk Radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV. The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.